Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio. The Bills host the 49ers Sunday night in a game which could be marred with high wind, extreme cold, and lots of snow. Buffalo 5-0 at home this season. The Steelers and Bengals battle this Sunday afternoon. The Steelers 8-3 overall. The Bengals 4-7. Pittsburgh with a slim lead on the AFC North race. The Browns visit the Broncos on Monday night. Cleveland is 1-4 on the road this season. Big test for Michigan football when they visit the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's 10-1 overall, 7-1 in the Big Ten. The Wolverines 6-5 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten. Michigan leads the all-time series 61-51. There have been 6 all-time ties. Pitt visits Boston College. The Panthers are 7-4. And it's the regular season finale as Pitt looks to bolster its bowl claims. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Flash. Chuck Sanders, Western Reserve Radio.
It's the week of Thanksgiving, so you're a little busy. Here's something you can check off your list. Holiday shopping at Macy's. Because Black Friday is happening right now. You don't have to wait until Friday to get the season's best savings on the best gifts. You don't even have to wait until the end of this message. Head over to Macy's now and save big. If you go to Macy's.com, you can get your gifts shipped for free when you spend $25 or more. That's one less thing on your to-do list. Exclusions apply. See Macy's.com for details.
After you use Bounce Dryer Sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Put a sheet on it. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Put a sheet on it. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer Sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry, put a sheet on it with Bounce.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football. Or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
Hello and happy Thanksgiving, Phantom fans. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 9 of the Dump and Chase podcast. My name is Sam Olmstead, and joining me as always is Dan Conley and Justin Irwin. Gentlemen, before we talk about the 7-game winning streak that we hoped in the last episode we would get to discuss this week, I must first ask you, with Thanksgiving coming up here in a couple days, what is your guys' critical side dish on Thanksgiving?
My mom's
mashed
stuffing.
Potatoes.
Yeah, mashed potatoes. Yeah, my mom's stuffing. I love it.
See, I would go with the deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs. I just had a long conversation about our deviled eggs Thanksgiving attire food.
I mean,
if they are.
Mashed potatoes is the foundation from which everything else is built from.
You're right.
Do you like your mashed potatoes creamy or with like lumps in them?
I want to chew lumps. A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of those weirdos. I actually kind of prefer the instant mashed potatoes to real ones, but
you know what, Sam? That does not surprise me, and you can take that however you want.
Well, I wasn't inviting you to Thanksgiving dinner anyway, so
I know to hang up on that one.
Take your lumpy mashed potatoes and cram them right up your nose for all I care.
Decline when I see that phone call come across.
And the canned cranberry, whatever you call that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to admit, that's good.
It is. I eat it straight from the can with the spoon.
You don't get like that when you pour it out of there. You just
and it's still got like the rings from the can.
Oh,
And that's it. And that's it for the sound effect portion of this show.
Those are cut lines, Justin. Can we clip that sound, by the way, Sam?
So, no.
Okay.
With great power comes great responsibility, and I'm not clipping those. All right. So thanks to Muskegon's 2-1 loss to Sioux Falls on Saturday, which snapped their 8-game win streak, the Youngstown Phantoms now have the longest active winning streak in the United States Hockey League with 7 straight wins. And the next closest is Madison with 4. So, gentlemen, like I said, we talked about the end of the last episode. This is what we hoped we were going to be talking about this week, and here we are.
I mean, it feels good, but on the same token, like you mentioned, other teams are on fairly decent streaks. It doesn't seem like we're gaining that much ground in the East.
Win 7 straight games so far, and the prize in that is we're keeping pace with the other 3 teams above us in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think last year's 2 games against Omaha kind of started a downward spiral for about a month of the season for the Phantoms. So going there, it was a good result, and much happier.
I mean,
results.
These are games that are definitely winnable. I think I mentioned it last weekend. No points left on the table.
Yep.
All right. So some Phantoms roster news, which everybody would pretty much know by now. Last week, the Phantoms picking up Kazimir Sobieski in a trade with Sioux Falls. He was actually at UMass. So he was on Sioux Falls retention list. So that's, I guess he had left UMass. And the Phantoms made the trade with Sioux Falls for his rights. Made his debut with the Phantoms in Omaha this past weekend. Kaz is a 6'1" right-handed shot OA defenseman from Deerfield, Massachusetts. Spent 4 seasons with Shattuck St. Mary. Spent the last 2 with Sioux Falls. And yeah, when it boils down to it, if you're going to debut with a new team, I think a 4-point weekend is a pretty good way to do it, especially for a defenseman.
Yeah, and he played that second game with a little bit of an edge. I saw him throwing some pretty massive checks out there. So definitely not afraid to throw the weight around.
Now, Justin, you and me live about 40 minutes apart because there's no good roads between. There's no good way to travel between Salem and Newton Falls.
It's not that far, but yeah.
Yeah, about 5 minutes by helicopter, about 40 minutes by road.
A lot of diagonals.
I know. Watching the game on Saturday, I kept hearing this squee noise out my window. Was that you?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I believe vocally happy with his performance.
Yeah. The podcast chat between the 3 of us that we have going on during these away games and stuff like that. I could feel the happiness in your guys' messages about Sobieski during this weekend.
Well, I mean, we gave up a bit of draft capital to get him. Mm-hmm. So we talked about this before we started. I don't think anybody is questioning that at this moment.
No, and he didn't arrive till probably Thursday before they left, maybe Wednesday night. So he was only with the team for less than 24 hours before he got on a bus to ride to Omaha. And so he probably didn't know a whole lot about the game plan. So he just went out there and played on instincts. And tell you what, his instincts are pretty damn good.
I mean, maybe once or twice I saw him wander down into the corners, like Phantoms defensemen sometimes do. And you're like, But I mean, yeah, solid game. And we only have, improvement to expect from him once he gets acclimated.
Right. I also think that speaks to how good the D line is this year, where you can just fit somebody in there without much practice or training beforehand. They fit right in, and it's a seamless transition.
All right. So moving on to other news. News came out this week. Congratulations to Phantoms forward Justin Kerr. He committed to UMass this week. So the Phantoms took one away from UMass, and then we plugged one right back in there for him. So
a spot opened up, and Kerr took that spot.
But yeah, congratulations to Justin Kerr there. Since we don't have any home games, so I don't have people running me down for our newest shout out segment at the beginning of these things, I'm going to take the liberty here and give a shout out to my great nephew Jed, who turned 2 years old this past weekend. So I just wanted to say to my great nephew Jed, Mr. President, happy birthday. And yes, I refer to him as Mr. President. All right. So later on in this episode, we will be doing, we actually got a couple of questions for allowing us to do a Q&A segment. A little bit of confusion with that. There is a phone number that you can text, but there's also a code that goes along with it that has to be in the text message for it to actually filter through to our show. So again, I'll point out probably your best course of action there if you want to send a question to the show is to go to whatever podcasting apps, Spotify, Apple, or whatever. And the link is there in like every episode description. When you click on that link, it'll take you to your text messaging app and it'll already put that code in for you so you don't have to worry about it. So definitely the easier way to go. So with that coming up in this episode, for this week's edition of Phantom Files, we welcome for the first time to the show, Phantoms forward Cade Stangram. Again, like I said before, we will have our first two Q&A questions this week. And of course, the weekend preview with a Thanksgiving Eve matchup up in Plymouth with the U17s and back home on Saturday with the Des Moines Buccaneers coming to town. So coming up after a break, we're going to break down how the Phantoms extended their winning streak in Omaha against the Lancers. So keep it here with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So the Phantoms this past weekend makes the trip out to Nebraska, 2 games with the Omaha Lancers, ending up sweeping yet another weekend and again extending their win streak out to 7 games. So we're going to kick it off with the game on Friday. That was a 3-1 win for the Phantoms. Phantoms very early on in the first period kicking off the scoring, only 40 seconds in, Justin Kerr picking up his third of the season. I believe Frank made the comment, or somebody made a comment at one point for this game on Friday. It was all Phantoms that scored goals in this game. Because at the 9:02 mark of the first period, Omaha would tie the game at 1. Our old friend Hunter Ramos coming back to haunt us this weekend.
You saw that coming.
Yeah, we saw that coming, but I wasn't expecting how turned up he was for the game.
Yeah.
Both games.
And again, it's when a player is traded, you see it every time. It's just they just have that little extra bit of juice.
And good on him. Good on him. Yeah. We still won.
Got himself a couple goals this weekend. We still won. So
yeah. Good weekend.
Congratulations, Hunter. So going into the second period with the score tied at 1, no scoring in the second period. So moving on to the third, and what became the most quote unquote controversial goal of the weekend. Jack Hextall giving Youngstown a 2-1 lead. Boy, what can you say about this goal?
Nothing.
It was only controversial to one person, Sam.
Yeah.
He's pretty adamant about that.
You know what? And we've listened to Frank over the past couple of years. We know he deals with what he deals with, and we're never knocking him for that or anything like that. It's very commendable that he excels, in this kind of work.
And his actual play-by-play is very good.
Yeah, he's a very good play-by-play guy. It's just there's certain aspects of it that he gets a little excited and doesn't quite factor reasoning into anything.
No, he's very passionate about. I'm actually okay when an announcer is kind of like a homer to who he's announcing for. I'm okay with it to a certain point, and he's passionate about that. And I was expecting when he came back from the commercial break or whatever it was, there's a break after that he was gonna be like, upon further review, I was wrong because it was play his day. What happened there live? I guess if he had the wrong angle, I could see what he was maybe seeing, but one replay shows you what actually happened in that play.
Yeah, you have Ryan Rusinski going to the crease. Who was it? Cam Hendrickson in goal for Omaha. Rusinski gets spun into Hendrickson. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He didn't crash into him of his own accord. He was spun into him by the Omaha defender. And then Cam Hendrickson he gets back up, and instead of playing the puck, decides to go after Rusinski. And that's when Hextall picked up the puck and shot it into a very empty net.
Yeah, it almost looked like he was playing tag with Rusinski. He was trying to tag him out or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, so just very poor judgment on Hendrickson's part.
And he's a very good goalie. I'm surprised he made that mental mistake.
Yeah. And then, of course, there at the with 39 seconds left in the game, Mikey Burchell picking up an empty net goal from center ice, which works out to .100 in the USHL for Mikey. So stick taps and congratulations to Mikey. I know here for a few games he's been trying to get that 100th. Finally picked it up in this game.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew that was coming eventually. Would have been nice to see him, score it on a power play or something fancy. But at the end of the day, I'm sure he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'd say there's nobody else on that ice whose eyes got bigger than his.
No,
when he had that puck in his stick at that part of the game.
I think at that point it's like, okay, it's been a few games. Let's just get this over with.
And it was due for him.
All right. Yep. So, again, the Phantoms get the 3-1 win. Phantoms in this game outshooting Omaha 28-20. Both teams 0 for 3 on the power play. And Melvin Strahl stopping 19 of 20 for his 9th win of the season. So moving on to the game on Saturday, this was a 4-2 win for the Phantoms. No scoring at all in the first period. At the 4:22 mark of the second period, Kaz Sobieski picking up his first goal with the Phantoms. That one was on the power play, giving Youngstown a 1-0 lead. And a couple minutes later, Hunter Ramos gets another goal.
Good for him. Good for him.
Good for him. Happy for him. Good luck in Omaha.
Yeah.
No, we're not saying these things to be mean.
We like Hunter Ramos.
Yeah, we like Hunter.
I mean, it is what it is. But he scored on us twice this week.
Yeah, everybody likes everybody, but in between the whistles, not so much. Omaha would pick up another goal at 18:58 of the period to go up 2-1. Youngstown only took 13 seconds. Thanks to Michael Messick off the ensuing face-off, getting Youngstown back in, tying the game at 2, and that's how we would go to the third period. Third period, and how many times have we seen this before? Youngstown basically took over. Landon Resendez picking up his fourth goal of the season, third with the Phantoms at 13:54. That would be the game-winning goal. So now Landon is tied with Ryan Rusinski. All 3 of Landon's goals with the Phantoms have been game-winning goals, but now tied with Ryan Rusinski for the team lead there. And then at 19:28, Adam Bannock picking up the empty netter for the insurance goal, and that would give us the 4-2 final. Shots in the game, Youngstown leading Omaha 40-25. And again, you look at that third period, Youngstown outshooting Omaha 14-6.
Yeah, and you know what stood out more to me about this was, I know that the Phantoms gave up 2 goals in the second period, but the second period as a whole all season, they've kind of taken a lull in between the first and the third.
Yeah.
They outshot Omaha 18-7 in the second. So
yeah.
And if you want to look at the weekend overall, going back last year, we did not play that great against Omaha. Omaha led for 13 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we let them claw their way back and get to us. 13 seconds later, we evened that up, and that was the best they had all weekend.
Yeah, and I watched the Friends. I watched the Saturday game at Friendsgiving with all my friends, and we were sitting there watching the game, and Omaha scored to take that lead, and then we were talking about what was going on, and then somehow we all missed Youngstown tying the game up. We all were like, another face-off. What happened?
Yeah,
and rewind, but. It's weird. There was like 7 of us in there watching the game. We all somehow missed.
And the feed was glitching at that point a little bit. Yeah. So it was like...
Well, yeah, on my TV, it skipped and did like this fast forward thing.
Yeah.
And then right at the very end, it's like, he scored. Oh, yay. Yeah. I believe the group chat was something about whiplash from watching that.
Yeah. So, as far as special teams, Youngstown was 1 for 3 on the power play. Omaha 0 for 4. And Melvin Strahl stopping 23 of 25, picking up his 10th win of the season. So at this point, gathered a few stats as far as what Youngstown has done on this 7-game winning streak. Starting out with, in all 7 games of this streak, Youngstown has scored first in every game. Youngstown, during these 7 games, outscoring teams 29-12. They are outscoring teams 10-3 in the first period and 11-3 in the third period. They are outshooting teams 241-135. And the Phantoms power play has been coming in at 26.9%, the penalty kill at 85%.
Now, Sam, if you would have given us those stats without us knowing what the record was of anybody, that's winning hockey right there.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out, you go back a few more games before the win streak, we are 7-0 at home. So I think that, shows a lot for us.
All right. So with that, it is now time for the Dump and Chase podcast, 3 stars of the week, and kicking it off with the 3rd star. That is Melvin Strahl, going 2-0 on the weekend, stopping 42 of 45. Right now in the United States Hockey League, Melvin Strahl is first in the league in wins. He is tied for 3rd in goals against average, and he is 8th in save percentage. And for the 2nd week in a row, was named the USHL Goaltender of the Week. So big weekend for Melvin.
Another big weekend, Kazimierz Sobieski. I assume I'm pronouncing that close. We haven't got official pronunciation yet. 1 goal, 3 assists in his debut weekend here. That earned him USHL Defenseman of the Week. Just making a huge statement here going into Omaha. And then that leads our 1st star of the week is Mikey Burchill. Is 5th of the season on Friday. Gives him the century mark for points total in his career with USHL. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. He embodies Youngstown, and he is such a great add to this team. I'm so glad he came back and he's playing another year with the Phantoms on his chest.
All right, so that will do it for 3 stars and the weekend recap. So we're going to step aside for a short break, and Phantom Files with Cade Stengram is coming up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Melodic Live is your home for high school sports. We have all the scores on our social media platforms throughout the games. Enjoy our timely updates from local area schools year-round. You won't get the consistency and reliability from anyone else. Our number 1 priority is servicing our fans and getting them live news as it's happening. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Melodic_Live. And remember, our fans come first. Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
We're back with the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of Phantoms Hockey, Western Reserve Radio. For this week's edition of Phantom Files, we welcome a native from Brainerd, Minnesota, who was a Phase 2 fourth-round pick of the Phantoms this past summer, who is also committed to St. Cloud State University. He is number 89, Cade Stengram. Cade, great to meet you. Welcome to the show. Really looking forward to chatting with you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so anytime we have somebody new on the show, we always like to start it out with, what's your origin story? How did you get started as far as hockey is concerned?
So I'm from Minnesota, and there's a lot of hockey in Minnesota. My dad's from northern Minnesota. He kind of got me into hockey. He coached the Brainerd high school team for 28 years, and then he got out when my older brother was going into high school. So we always had a rink in our backyard, and I was kind of always at the rink with him. That's kind of how it started.
All right. Well, lucky for us, we have a couple Minnesota sources that help us out whenever one of you guys come on. So starting out, we found out hockey wasn't your only sport that you excelled at.
Yeah, I played hockey, baseball, and football growing up all my life. And then after freshman year, I stopped playing baseball because there was more hockey stuff in the spring to do with high performance and some other stuff. And then I played football until my junior year. And then this year, my senior, I kind of had to pick what I wanted to do. It was a good choice, but missed some of the boys back home. This year, I was going to be a captain of the football team, playing receiver and safety.
Yeah, talking about your high school career, your football career, actually, you were a pretty darn good football player. I understand you had some college offers in for you. And high school football here in Ohio is like a very big thing. I was told you went to like an Ursula and Warren game. Yeah. What was your overall experience with high school football as opposed to Minnesota football? What you're used to?
So it was me and my billets, and then Melvin and Mo. That's when Mo was here. We went to Ursuline, and it was Warren. Warren had this quarterback, and I was like, "This kid's good." Their first drive, they threw a pass. It was like the receiver had him beat, and I was like, "Yeah, this game's over. This kid's a stud." And then Ursuline ended up just pounding him. So I thought it was going to be the other way around, but I don't know. I mean, I think Minnesota high school football is good, but I think Ohio has it beat for sure.
It's funny that Warren team you went and saw against Ursuline beat the team I'm associated with, and then the Warren team my high school beat them in the playoffs, and there was a situation at the end of the game that made everyone leave the stadium immediately. But
really,
yeah.
Wait, Warren was involved in that?
Imagine that.
I'm shocked. Yeah. Okay, so going back to high school hockey, one of the things that we get a lot of the Minnesota high school players coming through the league, just kind of starting to get the feel for the ground there. What's Brainerd's rivalries there?
It's kind of just in our section. So you got to win your section to go to the state tournament, and Brainerd's never been to a state tournament. So it's kind of the same teams every year. Moorhead, which I'm sure you heard of, and then Roseau is kind of a very northern Minnesota team. So probably those two I'd say are our biggest rivals for sure.
And a lot of the Minnesota players, we see a lot more of them stay till graduation. What brought you to the USHL as opposed to staying there?
I think a lot of it had to do with like kind of a personal decision. I think staying in the USHL kind of gives me a better chance than at Brainerd to kind of do what I want to do with my hockey career. The Minnesota high school is good. I'm not ripping on that for sure, but it's not the USHL. So it was kind of a decision I had to make for my future and where I want to go in this game.
Yeah, you talked about your dad being a coach at Brainerd. I understand your dad and your mom were both pretty big athletes growing up. What were their main sports?
Yeah, so my dad played hockey and football and baseball in high school. And then he went to Bemidji State University, where he was a captain of the hockey team and the baseball team. So, and then my mom is from Minneapolis. She's from Bloomington. And then she went to Northern Michigan where she was a cross country skier and she swam. She was on the swim team. So she was also a captain both. So yeah, my parents are rock stars.
Yeah. I'm also assuming one of them is pretty tall based off you and your brother.
Yeah. My dad's, he's 6'5", and my brother, I think just got taller than him this last year. And my mom is 5'9". So she's pretty tall too.
Now that I think of it, I never get the opportunity to ask a Minnesota kid this. Do you feel like the Mighty Ducks was an accurate representation of hockey in Minnesota?
I don't know about accurate, but I mean, yeah, maybe pretty close. But
like when you take penalty shots in Minnesota, do you not wear a lid when you take a penalty shot, or?
No, buckets are mandatory.
Okay,
for penalty shots.
And the flying V is interference. Like 4 times over?
Yeah.
Okay. So this, I mentioned earlier, this past summer, you were drafted by the Phantoms. Where were you and what were you doing when you found out that the Phantoms had drafted you?
Where was I? Oh, I was at school. So I was actually at the lunch table when I got a call with all my buddies. Yeah, it was awesome. I just got out of English class and I was walking the lunchroom, kind of sat down, and then I was watching the draft on my school computer because I had a feeling it was coming, and then saw my name, and then I got a phone call.
Now, we do the home games after the games are over, we do these post-game interviews with Coach Ward and everything like that. And you were somebody he had mentioned at one point, talked about somebody that when coming into this, going from high school hockey to the USHL, that you were somebody that once you kind of put the pieces together, you were somebody, somebody not only on this team, but in the league to watch. How has it been kind of making that transition from high school to the USHL? And I mean, how do you feel like you've been doing, with this, basically the first third of the season, almost all the way, through here?
Yeah, it's definitely different for sure. Going from playing just 18-year-olds to now 20, 21-year-olds. It's different for sure, and a lot faster. I kind of got a taste of it this summer with some of the USA stuff, and then kind of leading into main camp. It's really different, but I think it's been good for sure. I don't know if I've really kind of hit my stride yet. I think I definitely have more to contribute for sure, but I think I'm just kind of taking it all in, going day by day, and loving every second of it.
So how are you guys doing? Is just just morale just in the locker room right now, with you guys on this 7-game winning streak?
Yes, we're 9-2 in our last 11. So kind of before, who were we playing at home? I think it was Chicago. Wardo kind of came to the locker room, was like, we got it was that week at practice. I mean, this opportunity, after Chicago, we had kind of the teams that we played up. He's like, these are all winnable games for sure. So, kind of just staying focused and doing the right things and getting on a roll here and start climbing teams in the East.
Now, we had talked about this a little bit before we started recording here, but I got to imagine that's got to feel good, kind of make the trip feel a little bit shorter when you have to go all the way out to Omaha. And then you're turning around and coming back with 2 wins in your pocket.
For sure. All of those overnight trips, we take the sleeper bus, and it's fun to spend time with the boys in the back for sure after a win.
All right. So before we let you out of here, we're going to do what we call the random questionnaire. So we're just going to kind of rapid fire some questions at you and just answer them the best you can.
Sounds good.
All right. What is the best locker room prank that you've seen or you've been a part of?
Oh, there's a couple. I'd probably say this was earlier in the year, but I'm sure it'll probably happen again. When the guys kind of come in the locker room, we have a dry room, and some of the veterans, I mean, it is pretty funny, but not when it's done to you. When you put your car keys either in your cubby or in your backpack, and one of the vets see it, they'll wait for you to leave, and then they'll grab your car keys and then move your car from the parking lot to a parking lot on the other side of the building. So after practice, when you get out, you'll be like, well, where's the car? We're like, where's my car?
And your first thought is, I'm in Youngstown.
Yeah.
It's gone.
There was a good one. I'm pretty sure the don't know for sure, but it was Ozzy. Ozzy moved Murph's car, and it was Murph. Like Murph's an awesome kid, and like he was freaking out for sure. So it was funny. It's not funny when it's done to you, but it's funny. Yeah.
No, if I left the arena and my car was gone, I wouldn't be laughing.
Yeah.
All right. So with the holidays coming up, first up with Thanksgiving, what's your go-to side dish on Thanksgiving?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Well, Bree's parents, I think, are making green bean casserole this Thanksgiving. And I mean, that's a good one. I'm pretty excited to try that for sure.
I'm glad you're excited because
that's a staple in my household too.
I don't go anywhere near it. All right. So with the Christmas season, at least to me, starting November 1st, but nobody else ever wants to go along with that. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, one of the Home Alones.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
respectable.
Right. So this is one we've asked the last couple of weeks. So if you had to sit for a game, what other job in the arena would you like to do?
Oh, probably be one of their arena workers. We've gotten pretty close with one of them. We call him King James. After we win, I don't know if you saw the clip, but we beat Chicago in overtime and he just started dancing. It was awesome.
I think I may know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
He's a legend, and we danced to him. Probably, I mean, I don't know how fun it would be taking down the glass and like covering the ice for some concerts, but that couldn't be a bad job. All
right. So which teammate snores the loudest on the sleeper bus?
Oh my gosh, Cal Houston. It's not even close. This last weekend on the way there, it was so bad. And he claimed he forgot like his mouth tape that he like normally uses to cover his mouth. But apparently he didn't, because then he was roommates with Quentin Bourne this last weekend, and Q said he was still snoring. So on the way back, he grabbed tape off of Amber's table, and we made him cover his mouth with tape on the way home. So he couldn't snore.
Somebody get painter's tape.
Yeah. He's a big snorer.
Okay.
I take it you were right next to him.
We have to get him back on now.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question. So besides your head, obviously, where's the worst place to get hit by a shot?
Like to block a shot?
Yeah.
I don't know. In the foot, that doesn't feel good. Or in the back of the leg, maybe. I don't know. You probably shouldn't be in a position to block a shot in the back of the leg. But if you catch one there, it doesn't feel good. I'd probably say the foot for sure.
All righty. So we have been talking to Phantoms forward Cade Stangram. Cade, thank you so much for coming on the show. Of course, stay healthy and happy Thanksgiving and good luck this week. 2 games you guys have coming up.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So with that, we're going to take a short break. The first podcast Q&As and the weekend preview are coming up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you're listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Discount Power Sports at 778 North Main Street in Hubbard is hosting a raffle for a 125cc Pentora ATV. Tickets are $30 each, and 100 tickets are available. For each raffle, when those 100 are gone, a winner will be drawn and a new raffle will begin. Tickets can be purchased at any Hubbard home game or at 778 North Main Street or by calling 330-717-44441. $1,500 from each raffle will go toward a scholarship for the Hubbard Youth Coalition.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is the Dump and Chase podcast on the broadcast home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, with this new text line we have for the show where people can send in questions or comments or whatever, we did actually manage to get a couple questions. So we're going to go through those as soon as I bring them back up on my phone because I took them down because I'm an idiot. There we go. All right. So our first question, this is an essay question. It's in 3 parts.
It's been a minute.
So pencils at the ready. All right. So the full question we got is what are your thoughts on the rumors if Youngstown were to join the Ontario Hockey League? Do you think the current staff would be retained for this kind of move? And would we have an opportunity to retain some of the players we have? The first part of that, what are your thoughts on the rumors of Youngstown joining the OHL? For me, myself, my thoughts on it was it's been 1 or 2 tweets, a lot of tweets reframing the exact same thing that was reported in the first couple and nothing about it since. So that's kind of my thoughts on it right now.
My thoughts are this makes a lot more sense from an OHL point of view than a Youngstown or Muskegon point of view. At least for Youngstown, I don't see this being a great move for us as much as it would be for the OHL.
Yeah. We knew that the NCAA changing the rules had a possibility of changing the landscape of junior hockey as we know it. I figure it would take about a year, maybe 2 years for everyone to kind of see what was going on before they made a decision. And this could just be a whole lot of smoke and no fire, but maybe some teams are trying to get out ahead of it. Who knows? I'm a moron, so I have no idea.
I look at it. Yes, it's the whole deal with with the CHL and the NCAA and everything else. And you've seen, a lot of, not every single one, but we have seen a lot of Canadian players, leave the USHL, work their way back north. So like I've said, I think in the short term, I kind of think that's what the CHL wanted. They wanted some of their higher end players back. Mm-hmm. Looking at it from a Youngstown perspective, it was announced in the off season that Youngstown has put together a very, hardy kind of European scouting division within the organization. We've seen, who was it? Tri-City. Was it Tri-City that just signed the tender?
Yeah.
The first tender signing of this season for next season was a European player.
It was Russian.
Yeah.
European, Eastern European, Russian. We don't typically see that. If we see imports as tender signings, they're typically Canadian.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that was really interesting right off the bat that you have a Russian was the first tender signed this season, and Youngstown kind of really beefing up this European operation.
No, I think Sam, you brought this up before we did, and I about more tenders going to more of the European side, and I 1,000% agree with you on that because I think it's now to risk a tender and to draft people early on that are Canadian because they have a choice of going back there now.
Yeah,
if they want to go the college route, and Europeans now, I think that could be the route to go, and those players are just as good.
And to me, I see this more as desperation from the OHL. I mean, everybody seems to think that, they're going to benefit greatly from this. But with their model of not letting players leave the OHL until they're 20 years old, the NCAA is giving them a challenge to that, to say the least. And I see them throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Did a conversation happen? It very well could have happened, but that's all the information that anybody has been given. There was a conversation. So, as far as saying it's a rumor that Youngstown's going to go to the OHL or Muskegon's going to go to the OHL, at this point, we don't know anything.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's hard to speak on just because nobody really knows anything.
And the logistics of this is so astronomical. Any speculation at this point is kind of fantasy.
Yeah. All right. So the second part of this question, do you think the current staff would be retained for this kind of move? I would think that'd be up to the staff.
Yeah. I would assume so. It would, make no sense to change that. I don't know, again, the logistics of this. So,
yeah. And I think out of all the possible scenarios, I think this would be the most likely thing to have happen if everything else was to be true. I think they would try to keep a continuity with the coaching staff, like Sam, you said, if they wanted to stay.
All right. And then the third part of this question, and I'm going to allow Justin to answer this in 47 different languages all at once. Would we have an opportunity to retain some of the players we have?
The short answer is no. The long answer is no. I mean, there might be some very small chance of one or two players, but no.
I mean, this would essentially be the scenario if Youngstown were to leave the USHL for the OHL. Any player that is on Youngstown roster would go into a dispersal draft that the rest of the USHL would take place.
And they would have to make transfers to Hockey Canada.
And we remember the dispersal draft from a few years ago with Madison and who was it? Madison and who else?
Bloomington was the last one before that. Oh no, Des Moines took the year off.
Yeah, Des Moines and Madison. There was a dispersal draft for those players. So anybody on the Youngstown roster, that's what would happen to those players. Now, they could have the option to go play in Canada for certain, but Youngstown going to the OHL would probably be part of an expansion draft.
Yeah.
So if they managed to draft any of those players, that would be about the only route. But no, they couldn't just pick and choose.
No.
Players to keep to move to another league. There's no way the USHL would, USA
they would
Hockey
have to
would
transfer
allow
to Hockey Canada.
Yeah. No. USA Hockey wouldn't allow it. And again, like you said, there'd have to be a whole transfer thing from USA Hockey to Hockey Canada.
Yeah, and I think one thing to think about here is, the CHL, they have their own rules on drafting players and where those players end up at. And the CHL has designated areas and regions for all these players where they get drafted to based on where they're born. So that's why you see people like Dylan Rousey and Zach Miranda, why they only got drafted to the Q, because those players live in the area where the Q is. Same thing with the Ontario Hockey League. Players born in Ontario go there, and same thing with the W. So there's no telling where these players would go. And furthermore, another reason why Youngstown couldn't keep their players, like Justin said, but anybody who's already been drafted by an OHL or a CHL team already has rights by the CHL. And as it currently sits, the Phantoms have 12 players, not counting Zach Marin, Dylan Rousey, or Beckham Edwards, currently 12 players that have been drafted by a CHL team. And I'll go through them real fast. Jack Hextall from Kitchener, OHL. Eric Fassard, Gulf Storm, OHL. Ryan Rosinski, Flint Firebirds, OHL. Evan Jardine, Flint Firebirds, OHL. Michael Messick, Windsor Spitfires, OHL. Zach Rousey, who came up 2 weekends ago, the Gatineau Olympics from the QMJHL. Sobieski, I know he's an OA, so it's Rimouski Oceanic, who's the most famous alumni from that team?
Crosby.
Landon Resendez, also drafted by the same Oceanic team from the Q. Luke Santilli, Monoctic Wildcats from the Q. Michael Monroe, Halifax Mooseheads from the Q. Carter Murphy, Moose Jaw Warriors from the WHL. And mind you, he was a top 5 draft pick in the WHL, and not even counting Quentin Bourne, who came from the WHL. So all those players alone, if Youngstown was to go there, they already have rights taken by the team. So there goes those rights.
Quite a list. Yes.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Encore.
Yes.
Read those all again.
Did Max Talbot play for Rimouski?
May have. Everyone's
Actually,
been overshadowed
I think he
by
led them in
Crosby.
scoring.
Obviously not when Crosby was there, though.
He was there before.
I think he just stuck there a little longer.
Okay. All right. And as far as the second question we got, starts out, Dear Mr. Kit Kat, Mr. Dan, and Mr. Justin. So hello, Mr. Michael. Your anonymity got thrown right out the window there.
What if it wasn't, Mike?
You know what?
We'll know.
95% chance it was, so I'll take my risks on that one.
Okay.
I was wondering, since I think you guys are Penguins fans, I think I'm a Penguins fan. What about you guys?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. What moves should they make for the rest of the season? This is going to be a very short one for me. Fire Sullivan.
I'll give my answer here. First of all, I'll echo what I said before. I'm a moron, but I think Mike Sullivan's a great coach. I don't think the Penguins have the horse to win the race personally, but if you're going to do a total rebuild, I think he's got to go as well. And I don't think this is on Kyle Dubas either. I think the Carlson trade is on him. But I think there's a lot of bad moves before him, including like getting rid of Jared McCann for a couple of nobodies. And I think this has been, they've been trading the future for a long time to try to get results right now. And I think that's cut up to the Penguins. They don't really have a whole lot of, their shelves are barren because they've traded so many first and second round picks for players to try to win cup runs with. So that's where we're at right now. I think you got to get rid of everybody but Crosby. If you want to rebuild, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. And you got to start from the bottom up.
I think both of you guys are right. So the only thing I can add to that is lower the fan expectations.
Yeah. We've been spoiled.
I mean, I know Sam. I'm not so sure about Dan. We haven't talked that much in depth, but I remember this period in the 2000s, late 90s, maybe.
Yep.
You just have to expect this and look to rebuild. And yeah, I think one of the problems right now is the fans expect us to retain players that we can't and rebuild some sort of a, team built for a deep run. And that's just not possible at this moment. We might have to give away one or two of the big three here. And, I remember when we traded Yager and that was far too late. So,
and then there's a problem that the Penguins have been dealing with for a long time. And this, predates Dubas by a good bit. Like, when's the last time they had a first round draft pick?
Yeah.
It's been years. And this isn't a Dubas exclusive problem. They haven't had a first round draft pick in years. And even then, I'm not even sure if it would matter anymore because the Penguins' ability to draft has been garbage for a very long time now. They're not drafting these players and developing them. They're picking them up in trades.
Yeah.
I think their last first round draft pick just got sent back down to Wilkes-Barre and Sam Pouillon or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah. They're going to, he was going to be one of the big ones to come in. And at this rate, they're going to retire his number at their development camp.
I'm going to speak this into existence. I already said it to both of you guys.
Sam was waiting for that.
That's a good one, Sam. I think Merkulov got sent back down to Providence from Boston. I don't know what else he's got to do to prove his point. How about we just pull in with Merkulov, bring him here, give them both fresh starts.
I think we would all. Yeah,
I think there's also a thing with Merck, possibly with like the 2-way contract, and like if he spends too much, if they're not dead set on him coming up and staying up, then there becomes an issue with the waivers. With sending him back down, and he would get picked up in a heartbeat if he went on waivers.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think he's to the point he should be up full time, but if Boston's not ready for it, I can see why they're keep sending him back down like that. But because eventually it'll reach a point where it's either they have to keep him or he goes on waivers.
Yeah, and I think the Penguins need to get some guys in their system like a Merkulov. I mean, we're not going to probably trade for him, but get these guys in and develop them, and we're not doing that. So. No. I think we have to lower expectations and hopefully plan for the future.
All righty. Well, everybody, thank you for the questions. Please keep them coming in. This was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that at all.
We want you guys to give us, content here.
Yeah, because it's been 172 episodes and we're worn out. We need all the help we can get. Some people do fundraisers. We need a content drive. So keep the questions coming in, and we will get to as many of them as we can on the show. So the original purpose of this segment, the weekend preview, which is now going to be a very condensed version compared to the past.
Which might not be a bad thing.
So the Phantoms on Wednesday, the Thanksgiving Eve game, they will be heading to Plymouth to take on the U17s. Right now, that game is a 6:00 puck drop. That is local time here because they're also Eastern. Just the one little note I'm going to make, the U18s, their USHL schedule so far this year, they are 1-8-1 with 3 points, and combined with the 4 points that the U18s have chipped in, giving them 7th, is last place in the Eastern Conference by a good little bit.
We know they'll figure it out at some point. Well, we expect that they will, but probably not this early in the season. So we just got to play our game.
Yeah, Phantoms have to play. I mean, again, this is a game on paper. The Phantoms should win, but the game still has to be played. And
Yeah.
The 17s have come close a couple times, but I would just prefer Youngstown play their game and it just not get to that point.
Don't let them be the ones that figure this out on them.
So then on Saturday, the Phantoms are back at the Covelli Center, and you want to make sure you get to this game because this will be the last time that Youngstown is at the Covelli Center until after Christmas. With the Des Moines Buccaneers coming to town, currently sitting 7th in the Western Conference. This game is a 6 p.m. puck drop as well. The one thing I want to bring up, I'm hoping will work in Youngstown's favor as far as this game is concerned. The Youngstown power play right now is sitting 6th in the entire league. The Des Moines penalty kill last in the USHL. So you want to talk about a clear advantage right there. Would like to see Youngstown on the power play quite a bit in this game. Because on paper, it's set up that there can be success to be had here.
Yeah. I didn't realize how bad Des Moines' power penalty kill was, 70%. Yeah.
All right. So again, this game, a 6 p.m. puck drop. This is Wicked Night, of course, the movie version of the musical coming out. There will be I guess, Wicked themed jerseys. We haven't seen anything yet, but that'll be coming up on Saturday. And there will be a jersey auction after the game. Tickets for this game are only $6, I believe, except for front row seating. So make sure to call the Phantoms box office at 330-747-PUCK. That is 330-747-7825. And if you can't make it to the game, it will be available on Flow Sports, and the audio stream will be available on Western Reserve Radio. So that will about do it for this episode. We're going to step aside one last time. And when we come back, we'll wrap up this episode and look ahead to next week's show. So keep it here one more time with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We're back, and that will do it for this edition of the Dump and Chase podcast. We want to give a big thanks to Phantoms forward Cade Stangram for coming on the show. I love asking these guys beforehand if they've ever done like interviews like this before. They say no, and then they do the interview and just absolutely kill it. I feel like we've gotten quite a few in a row now.
Yeah.
These guys are just killing these interviews. And I mean, it's all to do with them. It's nothing to do with us. I mean, I'm loving it.
I was wondering if they have like social media presences where they're used to being in front of a little bit of an audience or something like that. But you're right, Sam. It's been pretty nice.
We've had a nice little run here. Of course, a big thanks to all of you for tuning in. Once again this week, if you've tuned in before or if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. So next week, of course, we will be recapping the games with the U17s and Des Moines, and we will be previewing the start of a 5-game road trip for the Phantoms, and they will be kicking that off with 2 games up in Muskegon. So you can hear this show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Western Reserve Radio on all of their various outlets. You can also hear the podcast version of this show. You can find that on Apple, Spotify, or wherever it is you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find us on social media on basically Instagram and Facebook at this point. That's pretty much what it's narrowed down to. And don't forget to check out the official merch shop of the show. That is dcpodshop.com. So, gentlemen, before we get out of here, do we have any final words of wisdom?
I gave all my wisdom during the last segment.
Yeah, you know what? You tap out. You're good. Justin, it's all on you.
I mean, we got one final weekend here, a game at the Covelli next month. I think things get a lot tougher for us. So turn out, cheer the team on, and try to get us some momentum when we go on the road and play the teams we're really fighting for in the standings.
Well, that wasn't funny at all.
Oh, words of wisdom. Let it be.
All right. So as always, remember that hockey is a sport played on ice with sticks and a puck, and our podcast is a thing you just listen to. See ya. Or maybe I should have said cuckoo kachoo.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
To make your bets as the last batch of football games kick off.
What I took away from this is I want to bet against the Patriots when they're behind by 2 scores.
People were going, well, I wonder if this team's actually better than we thought. They're not. They don't have enough talent.
Don't miss out on crucial advice for live betting once the game starts, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming action. Tune in to Ready, Set, Bet, Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at